Though GM crops have many benefits, it is mired under many controversies. Analyze. Never mind. So at least I feel that you should have been able to write a good answer with respect to what are GM crops. So how do you approach this particular question? You would start off by explaining what is GM crops. So you could say that GM crop is nothing but a genetically modified organism where genetic material from an external source is taken and then it is introduced into this particular crop. For example, for certain advantages, maybe like increased yield, resistance to pests, or it could be resistant to certain herbicides. Then you could give examples, say BT cotton. Correct? Then what can you do? You can talk about the controversies. What could be the controversies? The adverse effects on health is not correct. So there is a debate as to what could be the long-term effect of this particular use of GM crops. How could it affect humans? Because we have not tested this on humans, we do not know the long-term damage that could affect that could happen to human health over a period of time. Correct? Then might not only kill the harmful pests, but also might kill the useful pests. Correct. Okay. Now, okay. Now, what I'm saying is that my approach would be that we will talk about now whatever you said are like the disadvantages of GM crops. So, what I would suggest is that you introduction is given, then you talk about the controversy. What are the controversies? Then you give the advantages and disadvantages of GM crops. Okay, so what would be the controversies? So the controversy, the question itself says controversy, right? So we can talk about the controversy first. So the controversy could be about the ethical debate about should we genetically modify crops or organisms? Should humans be allowed to do that? Now humans are playing God. Humans are playing God. So should humans be allowed to do that? Correct. Sorry. Correct. So gene pollution, for example. The second thing could be the role of regulators, the role of these companies. For example, companies are only involved in profit making. Now, who is bound to regulate it? Because we have illegal trade, for example. What is the role of government? What is the role of regulators? What is the role of companies who produce all these GM crops in this particular debate, for example? This is another issue. The next controversy could be about should we label all these crops as GM crops and that, because as of today we do not know which is GM crop, which is not GM crop. Should people be given the choice to choose? Okay, say for example, I do not want GM crop, but I don't know which is GM crop, which is not GM crop. So should people be given the choice to choose GM crop or not to choose GM crops? Second debate or controversy is with respect to the efficiency and efficacy of GM crops. As of now, at present, in the short run, of course, they do have advantages. But in the long run, are they beneficial? Are they beneficial to the farmer? Are they beneficial to the consumer? Are they beneficial to the company who is producing it or trying to maximize its own profit from it? The cost of seeds also, terminator gene. So these could be the different controversies that you can write about. Then you can talk about advantages, for example. I'm pretty sure you'd have been able to come out with many advantages by now. What are they? Yield, productivity, reduced dependence on pesticides, reduced dependence on herbicides, increased income for farmers, food security. We are able to bring down the cost of vegetables or crops or whatever it is. Exactly. So you can give the example of flavor saver, golden rice, increase nutritional content, very important point, increase nutritional content or value. Increase shelf life. So what can happen? We can, have a greater reach or have a greater market. Transportation of food becomes easier without refrigeration. Yes. What else? Atmanirbhar Bharat. Correct. Export and import. Reduce dependence on import. We are able to increase our productivity and we are able to export more food grains into international markets. So Atmanirbhar Bharat. Another important issue is with respect to edible oil. If you've been reading the news, edible oil. So we import a large amount of edible oil, especially from Malaysia. This is palm oil. if we, for example, we have not discussed GM mustard yet, if we make use of GM mustard, for example, we can reduce our dependence on edible oil import. We will be able to produce edible oil in the country itself. This will aid in our current account deficit. So it is economically beneficial for the country as well. Anything else? Benefit, advantages? Correct. So most of the advantages we have addressed. Then what could be the disadvantages?
The BT cotton, which was grown in Rajasthan, Gujarat regions, has shown that they are expert in a lot of underground water.
They're expert. So water consumption is, they are water guzzling crops. Correct. You may do that. You may classify it as human health and what do you say? Any environmental health. Under human health, we do not know the long-term effects. So these are using toxins, endotoxins, which are toxic to other organisms. What could be the long-term effect on human health? On the environmental side, you can talk about cross-pollination. You can talk about biodiversity reduction. You can talk about persistence of these genes even after harvest. We do not know. About this biodiversity, environmental impact. So you can talk about these things. Then anything else?
GM mustard has resulted in reduction of honeybees. Where honeybees are the favorite crop is mustard.
Mustard. Are you sure about this particular point? I a bit doubt this, because no, this does not make sense to me, because we are yet to discuss GM mustard. We are only increasing self-pollination. So I wouldn't say that it is. It might result in reduction in honeybee population because there is self-pollination. Earlier, there would be cross-pollination where honeybees would play an important role in this cross-pollination. But since in GM mustard we are increasing self-pollination, so there is no role for honeybees, but it is not directly affecting honeybees. So this I wouldn't agree with this, but you may go back, check, and come back to me if I am wrong. But I personally don't agree with this, because the role of honeybees is reduced rather than affecting honeybees. Okay. Any other disadvantage? Okay. What about intellectual property right issues? Correct. We may have. The other thing is that we may have pests who become resistant to these GM crops. We may have weeds which also may become resistant to these certain herbicides over a period of time. Increased use of herbicides. Say, for example, HTBT cotton, what happened? Farmers will indiscriminately use herbicides, which may leach to soil, which may leach to water, have effect on humans. Okay. Illegal trade, for example, with respect to HTBT cotton, there is illegal trade. So it can result in the development of an underground market, for example, with respect to these things. Crops, for example, intellectual property rights. You would have heard about this Pepsi and this case with respect to Punjab farmers growing potatoes. Okay, so illegal sale of intellectually protected variety of crops. Okay, so this affects farmers, the independence of farmers in the country. Here in India, we do not recognize patenting with respect to crops. So we have intellectual property right issues with respect to crops. What else? Terminator gene is there. Okay, so here you have given an introduction. Write 4 or 5 points about controversies, another 5 points about advantages, another 5 points about disadvantages. Then you should be able to conclude. Neither will you go to an extreme where you say that no GM crops should be cancelled, should be, banned. Neither will you say that we will support GM crops. So you should take a balanced approach or a nuanced approach, where you should say that GM crop does aid in food security and farmers' income security. Therefore, they are beneficial and good. But still, we do not know the long-term effect of these GM crops on human health and environmental health. Therefore, what is necessary is a balanced approach where more studies must be conducted under this on this particular area so that we have a way forward. Then you can end the answer. If you do have any other better conclusion, you can let me know. Fine. Okay. So again, I'm hoping that you're able to write good answers, proper structure. Now, please focus on structuring of the answer. Okay. Always write big. Don't write very small. Okay. You're not saving paper. Okay, so write big. Ensure that when the evaluator sees, he or she should feel that you've written more. This person has written more. If you write this small, not leave gap, it becomes difficult to read. It also feels that you have not written much. So adopt all these things. Okay, clear? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.